Hello, I'm delighted to be here today. This is absolutely fabulous to see the group and to be here on such a beautiful day for you in Columbia, Missouri. I'm Dr. Jill Findeis. I am Professor of Agricultural and Applied Economics and also the Director of the Division of Applied Social Sciences. I'm relatively new here. I had been at Penn State University for 29 years, and I've been here for a year and a half, and I'm excited for helping lead the vision forward in terms of what we're going to do. The challenges are there. My training, just so you know, is not only in agricultural economics, but also in economic demography. So we certainly see the challenge out there, and how are we going to meet that challenge? One of the aspects of the University of Missouri that I think is very strong and getting stronger is our interdisciplinary team approach and how we do that. At the University of Missouri, the provost, president, chancellor put in place a set of initiatives that are called Mizzou Advantage. And the idea is to start breaking down those traditional disciplinary silos and working across areas. And if I see this, and when we think about international development, we're talking a lot about the same types of aspects that we need to think about. When Bob Sharp talks about his work on the science end, how can we connect the social scientists to that? Earlier, we talked about linking in the informatics. That needs to be there. The library sciences, they need to be there. And the University of Missouri is moving in that direction. I'm particularly interested across my unit in linking scientists and social scientists in doing great work and building team collaborations so that we have those full development pipelines. I'm also interested in engaging the student population. What a fabulous time that you have. Listening to Raj Shah was absolutely fabulous for me, because we know that we're at a time when students want to be engaged and they're looking for that engagement in the field for this next generation. How do we make that happen out there? When I was at Penn State, we developed a program called Community, Environment, and Development, the SEED program, helping the seed grow. Initially, it was talked about as, will it grow very fast? Will students want to do this? Maybe we should worry about this, but we went ahead and we did it. And I'm glad we did, because it became, within the first year, we had 49 students who were part of that program. Now it's only 5 years old. We're well up close to 150 students that are engaged in that program, and they're engaged across science and social science. So they're allowed to do this matching across these degrees to do a double degree. So how do we engage students across this university in being able to do that? It shouldn't just be, at least in my vision, it shouldn't just be a week on the ground. How do we make it happen in terms of engaging in learning laboratories that have at both the graduate and undergraduate levels those types of interactions for those partnerships? Capacity building came up this morning. It's clearly important, and we need to do that. Human capital. I look around my unit. We have FAPRI. It was noted earlier, Food and Ag Policy Research Institute, well known for its domestic policy analysis, but also increasingly, even more so, for its international assessment. How do we link that in to what we talked about on the science side so that we're linking policy, again, on the social science side, with the science side for this type of change that I think we all envision? Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership. I was recently in Tanzania, and I'm driving along with a cab driver, and he's talking about how the kinds of things that he's doing are very entrepreneurial. He's just trying to make ends meet on the side, and how the one piece that he feels that they're lacking in country, he's quite a smart fellow, is he said, we're just not getting the entrepreneurial type of leadership. We want to link those things up. We want to link up the capacity that we have to be able to do that. We're doing it in the United States. Let's just link that up and make that happen. Graduate Institute of Cooperative Leadership, or it's called GICL. Cooperative leadership, we're talking farmer associations, and how do we make that happen across these places? So within our particular unit, we have many of these centers often doing domestic work that can be linked up in very positive ways to do that. It used to be hard to do that. I think back, I graduated with a PhD in 1982, graduated from Cornell in 1974. What could we do at that time? You had to go overseas and you had to be there throughout your entire time period. Today, that is no longer true. Look at this building. Missouri School of Journalism is incredibly innovative. It's one of the very best. Convergence technologies, other types of technologies. We need to be doing that out there. You talked earlier about other types of innovation that we can be using to really, these are game changers, and change the whole way that we're doing student on the ground types of development opportunities, the way that we do research, all of those aspects. Why we're not doing a lot more needs to be addressed. This is part of this institutional infrastructure. I don't just mean the universities. I mean it's definitely across the board. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Mosaic project that NSF put in place. The Social Behavioral and Economics branch put in place a call for white papers in 2011. And they gave us a very short window to give them ideas. And those ideas came forward fast and furiously. I think initially it was 3 weeks, and then they extended it maybe by another week. They were short white papers, and they received more than 240, maybe close to 250 papers across the board. And they basically said the same types of things that we heard this morning from Sylvie and that we heard otherwise. Link these systems up. They need to be linked across. We need to build that infrastructure that allows us to do it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about being on the ground. Two projects that I want to speak just a little bit about. One is the project that was referred to earlier by the work by Corinne Valdivia, and one is the project that we're involved in. I'll go through these very quickly because of time. This particular project received, this is the one that Corinne Valdivia, Jerry Gillis, and others, this is the social science team. It's been in place for a long time. It's across these areas. You'll see that there was SanRam CRISP. There's also been McKnight Foundation, Small Ruminant CRISP type of support. Flexibility across these types of funding mechanisms becomes important. They're doing work that's now allowed them to position themselves so that they can look at climate change, and these are across different sites. So this is a long-term project that we've been involved in, very much faculty-led and very much linked in to the types of topics that are important today. McKnight Foundation often talks about this as one of their top projects for looking at this. This is across different altitudes and the adaptation that takes place across those altitudes. Very much on the ground, Corinne Valdivia, as well as Jerry Gillis. On the ground, participatory research, and we saw and certainly have talked a lot about that over many, many years. But how do we do that? And how do we do that with these new technologies? How do we make that happen? And how do we bring it all to bear? When they're doing that, of course, they've got to have biophysical indicators. They've got to have the weather data or the climate change data. Putting all of that together into one large package, bringing it all together. If you don't have those library sciences, you don't have that top of the line, not just the gray literature, top of the line literature. You need to have access to that, and you need to have access to it rapidly and quickly. The one project that I've been working with for some time is on the collaborative research in East Africa, a similar kind of project, learning laboratories, food security, again on roots, which we believe is very important, food security. This is with Jonathan Lynch at Penn State. And then we were also working for that particular project across the food security health divide. We're most concerned, or in part concerned, about not only having the upscale technology, but also getting it out. I think it's a crime when people say, what is the problem? And they say, we can't get the seed. And we know about that, and we've heard about it over and over again. And how do we get those systems? And how do we get that policy right? How do we get the regulatory framework right? The same problems that were alluded to on the science side are there on the social science side. Okay, and we need that two-way communication as well. Can't just be science, scientists talking to the public. It needs to be back as well. So that's an aspect of that project. Last slide. I think it's very positive to have the interdisciplinary team approach, social science collaboration for greater impact. Utilization of these rapidly developing communication technologies, we've got to get that out. We've got to see what is available and what universities are using, and we have to have testing of it. It can't just be sort of a shotgun approach for these types of technologies. Capacity building, it has to be there. And finally, the development of the next generation. We talked about that earlier on. It's disturbing when you hear about breeders, when you're on the ground and you're working with CIAT. I'm on the board of IITA. When you hear about how old we're getting and the changes that need to take place. It is an important aspect, and we can't forget about it. Thank you very much. Down in the right-hand side, the Kaffner Corps. In my particular unit, we have 8 former Peace Corps members, and thank you very much for being here. We're ready to go and motivated. Thanks.